Hi, this is Heather Picken, host of the Fearless and Fabulous Female Masterclass. You're going to learn in 90 days or less how to take your business to the next level. You want to go to the next level, you've got to align your mind to your vision and you got to take action. So I want you to take notes, and I also want you to consider to upgrade to the Fearless and Fabulous bundle. What that is experts paid products given to you for only $97. This is important because it's supporting a cause called She Should Run. And that is about getting 250,000 women running for office by 2030. I want you to be a fearless woman. Stand in your power and know what you stand for. I hope you enjoy this masterclass. Well, hello everyone and welcome. This is the first official masterclass of the Fearless and Fabulous Female Entrepreneur Summit. I know that's a mouthful, but I am really inspired to share with you every single day. We have 2 to 3 master classes, and I really want you to maximize how you're going to use this information. Number one, you want to take notes. You want to replay each masterclass because you're going to get 48 hours to watch the masterclass. And of course, you want to download the gift. Everyone is offering a free gift. You want to basically go to those people that you feel you could really use their expertise, because they're here to support you and empower you, because my vision is all about empowering women and women leaders all around the world, millions of women. And I'm so excited to share my first official expert, Vanessa Talbot, and she is all the way from Australia. I like to pretend that I'm Australian. No, I'm not. But let me share a little bit about Vanessa. She specializes in inspiring coaches and change makers to be seen and heard by boosting their profile and increasing their influence, resulting in their magnetic attraction for more leads, more clients, and more opportunities. Who doesn't want that? For those that have a mission and a message to help others, Vanessa guides them to better positioning themselves as a public figure so that they are able to have wider reach and greater impact with their work. She's also the creator of the popular Facebook group, Coaches, Experts, Change Makers, I love that word, Step into the Spotlight. So Vanessa, thank you so much for being my fabulous expert today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Woohoo! And, we're going to be talking about, I thought I'd open it up with you because we're going to talk about getting known for your brilliance zone. We're going to be talking about the strategy, what it is, why it's important. So I want to dive right into it because I know people, they want to cut through the fluff. They just want the information. So let's talk about, the first thing about, what exactly is your one thing? What does that mean?
Your one thing simply is that one thing you're going to get known for. So think about it, think about the big names out there, and they really hone into one thing. So you look at Tony Robbins, personal power, beautiful Louise Hay, rest in peace, but affirmations and heal your life, all jumped in together. Nike, just do it. They're all known for one thing. And one of the things, because I work with a lot of coaches who I deem as change makers as well, but anyone who's out there to change the world, of course, can learn from this information. And a lot of them are trying to be too generalized, too generic. And it's like, if you really want people to take notice of you, it's best to harp on about one thing so you can really get your message out there than trying to be known for everything. And that's your one thing. And that one thing should be, Heather, what you consider to be your brilliance zone as well. What is it that you love to do that just absolutely sparks your fire when you're working in that area? So that's it. That's your one thing.
I love this, Vanessa. And this is so true. I struggled with this myself for many years because when I put my business out there, I'm like, oh, I should, market or position myself as a marketing coach. And I honestly was not aligned with that. And so when I was really focusing on what I really wanted to be known for, what I really wanted to do, it really came back to the mindset and understanding neuroscience and how you can remodel your brain and And that actually, and I work with, business leaders. So it was really challenging for me to kind of get out of my own way. So I appreciate, that you're saying, don't try to be everything, be known for that one thing.
Yeah, and people get trapped in this idea that, oh, if I only get known for one thing, I'm going to limit myself. I'm going to limit the amount of people I can reach. I'm going to limit my clients. But it actually happens the other way. Even look at Gabby Bernstein, happiness.
Yes.
But it's just, that's what she harps on about. It doesn't limit you in all. In fact, it opens up so many more opportunities for you. And because you get known for that one thing, you'll tend to draw a much bigger following and audience as well because of that.
I love that. I love that you mentioned Gabby Bernstein. She took her idea of being happy, and here she is creating her courses. She's teaching other entrepreneurs. She's doing workshops. So she's able to monetize that. So there is a we can look to those people and say, oh, wait a minute, they're doing it. I remember reading about Tim Ferriss when he released his recent book, Tools of the Titan. He was focusing only on men in the tech space. So I thought that was interesting. And now, everyone's kind of into that. So awesome. So that's great. So number one, know your own, your one thing. And also you say, let people know how darn good you are. So talk to us about that.
So, what I've found with a lot of people who are change makers, they also tend to really care about the world. And so they have a lot of empath type qualities as well. You know how that works for a lot of you. And some of them can be quite introverted because of that. In fact, I would say that, a lot of people think in our change making industry, we're all out there being extroverts. No, wrong. A lot of us actually aren't. And so you've got to get used to the idea of tooting your own horn, but doing it in a way that is appealing, so you don't want to be all, I'm the best at this and blah, 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 but share your successes, your clients' successes. That's a way of making sure people understand what it is that you do and the results that you get and what you can do for them. But a lot of people actually shy away from that. It's almost like, oh no, that would make me seem too egotistical, or it's not the right thing to do. I think you've got to reframe that and actually say it as, if people don't know how I can help them, how will they ever get the help they need?
Yeah.
If they don't know who you are and what you can do for them, they'll stay stuck in that position. You're here to change their lives. You're here to light up the world. You kind of got to let your spark, your light out there to shine as well, to actually be able to do that.
That is so true. And I think a lot of times as women, we don't want to put ourselves out there or say, hey, this is what I did for so-and-so. A lot of it can come out of fear. Like if I am saying I did this great thing for my client, then people are going to judge me, right?
Yeah. And that's, you've nailed it, Heather. I mean, that's the base of it. And I'm the same. I everything I'm talking about, I had to learn, and I still remind myself every day. In my group, and that, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Because it's not natural for most of us to be pushing ourselves out there. And I don't want to see it as pushing. I'd like to see you as gliding out there and shining and flowing. So yeah, you do have to remind yourself that you have to do these things and, get rid of those fear blocks around it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, another thing you talk about is making time to get known. So if you could share a little bit more what you mean by that.
So I hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to get known. I'm too busy fixing my website. I'm too busy. I'm too busy dealing with clients. They say, I don't have time. To get things like media attention, for example, and even to build a high-profile Facebook group, for example, or build a big social media presence, or even to use the technique of connecting with other influencers to raise your profile along the way that way, that all takes strategy and focus on those techniques. So you actually do have to allocate time each day. So yeah, you might have a client book filled up. You might be busy working on creating your email lists and your marketing and all that sort of stuff, but you've still got to slot out time each day for your profile building, get known strategy as well. Otherwise, it's so you've got to stop making excuses, is what I'm saying. Just allocate the time. I say that to all my people, is just make sure you're allocating a bit of time each day to your get known strategy. Because if you're trying to get media attention, you're going to have to put a focused attention on that, say 30 minutes a day perhaps, until you start to get in what you want from it.
It's so true. So part of this summit is sharing strategies in what a woman entrepreneur can do in, let's say, 30, 60, or 90 days. So if we're talking about the time element, what kind of traction have you seen in your work to get, let's say, traction in 90 days or less?
Yeah. I had one guy who started with me and nobody really knew who he was. And I'd say within a month, I went to Melbourne with him and it was like walking around with a rock star. It was really funny, but that is very not normal. Do you know what I mean? For most people, 90 days, if you start as, I'm unknown, if you start using social media, particularly interacting with people, in 90 days, people will know, people in your circle of influence and potential clients that you're mixing with, they will know who you are and what you can do for them. And you should be, within 90 days, drawing in clients and at least creating some opportunities for yourself as well. You are not going to be Tony Robbins overnight. That's not going to happen. Everyone knows that. We need to build our profiles and our presence. And it's not an overnight thing. So each person is also very different as well, of course we know. But you can expect in 90 days, if you've put in a lot of effort in connecting with people. I used a lot of online strategy, Heather, rather than offline. It's only because of where I live.
Right.
I live out in the middle of nowhere. So, I can't do a lot of offline networking, so all mine's online. But if you utilize online really well, and particularly Facebook groups, so I don't know how familiar, people listening are with Facebook groups, that's a great place to start. Ones that are targeted to, your target market or your special area of expertise, and just start communicating in them. Within 90 days, if not sooner, you'll certainly have people looking at you. And also knowing what you want to get to the place of, and you can do this in 90 days, is for someone to say, I need a relationship coach. And then for people to be saying, oh, you need to check out Susie Doe. I see her a lot. She makes great information in her Facebook group or in this, wherever. That's what you want to have. You want to have people saying, oh, you need a relationship coach on, for women that have come from trauma relationships. That's your lady.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love what you're talking about building your profile, taking the time. You've got to plant those seeds. Now, do you recommend starting your own Facebook group or just joining other people's groups? What is your formula?
The Facebook group. The Facebook group, and I will not lie, having had one for about 2 years now, and it was a very fast growing Facebook group. In fact, we actually slowed it down. But should you have your own, it's going to take a fair bit of time. So if you're going to use a Facebook group, as in your own Facebook group, you really need to allocate it as a strategy and make that time each day to be in that group, interacting with your people. So it is actually reasonably time consuming to give it that lift off and to get it going. And a lot of people say, oh, about 1,000, you can just leave it. No, you can never leave your Facebook group. If you want to be able to continue to grow your profile and collect your audience, build your following for your Facebook group, you have to put time into it every day. So I probably spend an hour and a half in my Facebook group, because I don't just make posts, I actually go and communicate with my members as well. So for those of you who don't feel you want to put in the effort into a Facebook group, I'd say just go and play in others, you know, and build great relationships in other Facebook groups. There's other people out there who have already done the work for you. They've built great groups. Utilize them.
That's true. Yeah. So what you're talking about is building your profile, connect with people, like build those relationships. So in 90 days, even if you're not starting your own group, you could go into a Facebook group and then boom, here you have clients or people referring, like you said, they're making a post. Oh, who do you know that does X, Y, and
Yep.
Z? And then
get
they
referred.
tag you on it. And then there you go.
Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
happened that fast. And I totally believe that. It's happened to me. It's happened to my clients. It doesn't have to take years to get momentum, traction, go to the next level, right? Get visibility in your business. Now, I love this next point because, you know, you asked that question, like, how big do you want to be? Like, how do you want to grow? So let's talk about that.
So, you know, to know how much of an impact and influence you want to have, it's a good idea to know the answer to that. How big do I want to be? Because that's going to help you in terms of the strategy that you use to build your profile, you know, because it's not just oh, just let this happen. You do actually have to strategize it, whether you're using media, speaking, podcasting, you know, whatever it is, Facebook groups, online influencer. It has to be a strategy. So a good idea is to know who's got a profile like I would like to have. And I don't mean you want to be like them. I mean that you want to have the impact, influence, and size audience that they want. And you know what? Most people who come to me, when I ask them, you know, you think they're going to say, oh, Tony Robbins, you know, because he's huge. Most people don't. Most people do not want to be that big. A lot of them are sitting in that mid-range where they kind of say, oh, Danielle Laporte. You know, I get a lot of women who say, I'd like that profile about the size of Danielle Laporte's. You know, so she's fairly known. She's having impact and influence, but she doesn't seem to be massive. So I always find that really interesting, isn't it? Like, you think people are going to want to be huge, but most people go, no, that's too much for me. I want around that nice mid-range. And you know, Heather, a lot of people also just come in and say, well, actually, I don't want a big profile. I just want to get known locally to my market and be making sure that that's allowing me clients and income, and I'll be happy. So that's what you need to know, because obviously if you want to be a Tony Robbins profile or you want to be just your local hero, there's going to be a huge difference in the strategy between those two, isn't there?
Yeah, you know, it's so true. When I work with clients, I'm like, you better get clear on your vision because that's going to determine where you're going. So I like the fact that you're saying, hey, you know, how big do you want to grow? You know, do you want to work with your local market? Because it's actually very easy to go out there where you live and to attract clients. But you're saying, yeah, it's a different strategy. You know, I love the online world because you can work with anyone in the world. And I'm sure you have clients all over the world that you work with. And it's like, wow, I can just sit here in my house and connect with people and then help them transform their business.
Yeah, you know, when I got into coaching, I was running a big company with my then husband at the time, multi-million-dollar company in the mining industry. And I ran it all from home here. I live on a country property out here in Australia, do a lot of wildlife caring. So that's why, Heather, you'll see my kangaroos and that, you know, online, and I know you've seen them. And I wanted, when we got divorced, obviously let's face it, I got kicked out of the company because that went with the divorce with him. So I had to find a way to make sure that I could sustain my lifestyle and live it as well, and not have to go in work in town, which is like a 20-minute drive. That sounds not very much for people who live in the city, but when you live in the country, 20-minute drive is like hell on earth. And I just didn't want to do that, didn't want to go into a 9-to-5 job. So I got into coaching and thought, there's not a lot of my market because out here, it's only a very small town. I had to create an online strategy. So you create your strategy around your lifestyle as well and what you want to achieve with your business. So,
I love that. I love that.
Online's beautiful because you can reach so many people all over the world from staying in your home like I do, like I barely leave it. So
It's so true. You know, it's interesting because before Facebook, my first business was in the fitness industry. And when I was training, I'd be training clients in the gym. And I had this thought going, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, like trading my time, being in this physical space. And I asked myself this question, like, what can I do and live anywhere in the world? And I created my first fitness product. So this is where, you know,
yep.
being in the digital age is so amazing that we can do anything. You know, technology has given us that platform and created a new level of consciousness. I mean, would you agree? It's like, it's so much easier to make money now because we've become aware of how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, you know, when I started out, you know, from school and then going into some sort of business, because I've basically had my own business my whole life, sort of from leaving school. I've never really worked for someone else. But back then it was like we could only reach local people back then. Online wasn't even invented when I first started out. So it was a lot of hard yakka, you know, like doing a lot of advertising on things like radio and TV and all that to reach that local market. And now we can just reach them on Facebook, you know, and build these online presence. We don't have to worry just about our local market. Like you said, we can go anywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing. So let's kind of create this full circle, take all of the information, and now we have to devise a strategy. You mentioned earlier about creating your lifestyle. So what else do we need in that strategy?
You just got to know, as I said, you've got to know, I'll say this, the top 3 ways to get known the fastest. So if you're looking at wanting to get out there really fast, the top 3 ways is speaking. So get out there and speak. Connecting with influencers. That's another one. So if you can create a strategy where you are raising the bar, you know, like as you are up leveling the people, there's that saying about, you know, you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang
Yes.
out with. You kind of got to look at it in that way. So it doesn't mean you're leaving people behind. Hopefully you're taking them with you as well along the way. But you, as you raise your bar, hopefully you'll be looking at connecting with people who have also, you know, either 1 step ahead of you or 1,000 steps ahead of you. That's a great technique, because if you kind of get in these circles and get to know all these other people who are, as I said, 1 step to 1,000 steps ahead of you, doors start to open for you because they open them for you if you build good relationships that are not just based on what can you do for me.
Yes, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I think those are some powerful tips. People don't realize it's who you hang around, your circle of influence, and it's always that person that knows the other person. I was working with a client, and I'm like, meet an influence, meet a connector that knows an influencer, and they did that. And in 8 weeks, they were getting a big deal in a corporation, all because of that. And it wasn't, they didn't do anything on social media. They just were, you know, meeting influencers, just like you're talking about. So it can happen that fast.
It is a huge way. As I said, top 3 ways: speaking, that one, the connecting with influence. In fact, I actually think it's one faster than the other 2 ways, which is speaking. And of course, the 3rd way is media. So if you can learn to use media really well and get media, that will catapult you in front of an audience if you do it well as well. But I think that connection with influencers and increasing your circle is probably the most powerful, I think,
Yes.
because you can form long-term relationships with amazing people. And like just yesterday for a client, I had someone come to me and say, I need a personal coach, and I also need a coach for all my staff, for my whole business. And she's got quite a decent sized team. And I was just able to hand it to several of my clients and just say, here you are, so because they know me, they both got two extra jobs. One's now got a job in being the coach for a whole business team, which is a 12-month contract, so yay her. And the other one got the job of being the personal coach for this lady entrepreneur. So it's about, you know, people will open doors for you when they know that you appreciate them.
Yes. No, I love that. And the fact that you said about media, because when you get on TV or in the radio or even on a podcast show, you just boost your visibility. People hear you, they see you, especially if you have those logos on your name. It is it's the perception of what people see and like, wow, that person, they must be doing really well because they're, on TV. So it kind of adds that, another level of credibility there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why media is such a good tool, but probably the one that's least used, meaning most people shy away from media for obvious reasons. It can be a little bit scary out there. But, I've got clients who excel at doing, TV and stuff like that. I actually love doing interviews like this and podcasts and stuff like that. You'd be surprised how many people might actually listen to you on something and then they'll email you or contact you later and said, hey, I heard you, I think you can help me out. So, don't shy away from thinking podcasts and that aren't a great media, because they actually are. Maybe not as highly visible as if you were to get on TV, for example, but more likely to be placed in front of your target audience and people to hear you and say, hey, I loved what you said. Can we talk some more type thing? And that happens a reasonable amount from just doing podcasts alone. So podcasts can be a great strategy.
Absolutely. No, I love this, Vanessa. Wow. We went over a lot of things today.
Yeah.
Really knowing what that one thing is. So people that are listening, know what your brilliance is. What is that one thing? And be damn good at it, right? And also, let people know how you've worked with other people so that they can say, wow, this is exactly what you do. You can help me. And making the time. I mean, this is really key. If we're talking about putting this in 30, 60, or 90 days, I want you to take Vanessa's tips and strategies. Think about those 3 ways that she talked about and start implementing it and get really clear on how big you want to be. I think that's really important. And you want to work that strategy. And Vanessa, before we go today, I know you've got a gift. So I was wondering if you could share what that free gift is. And the download is actually right below this video or wherever you're listening or watching. So tell us a little bit about that.
I'm glad you said the download link was below, because I was thinking, I don't remember it. The simple formula to get known is basically a video that you can sit back, relax, watch. So, just sit back with your cup of tea. I always say, a lot of people say, I don't have time to watch a video, but hey, make the time and use it as a relaxing as well. But it's a simple formula to get known. So a lot of people struggle, particularly with their message and their one thing. This video actually hones into that. It's honing into what your one thing's going to be. So if you're struggling around that area, then hop onto that and you'll find a simple formula to get known. It's going to help you message what your one thing actually is. And that's the foundation. If you can get that right, the rest of it is so much easier. But if you're trying to build your profile and you don't have that message to your market right, and you don't have that one thing sorted, the rest of it is kind of going to be wasted. Because you might be getting known to people, but nobody really knows what you're about. So it's not going to be that effective. So this is a way to make sure that you're being effective from the start. And then the rest of your profile building strategies will work really well.
I love that, Vanessa. And I encourage everyone to download Vanessa's freebie with the link below. Make sure you do it. Take the time. Again, these master classes are for you to actually do the work. You want to pick one that is most aligned, actually more than one. And you want to actually create this in a 90-day plan. And then you want to measure your results, because I guarantee everyone that's watching or listening will get results. It is like a recipe. And I am certain of that. Vanessa, thank you so much for being my expert here today.
Thank you so much for Heather for having me, like all the way from Australia.
Yes, my pleasure. And I'm so glad that we kicked it off with this session today. And again, as always, everyone, please send me some of your feedback. What are some of the experts that you really were aligned and inspired with? Always love to hear your feedback. You can message me at heather@heatherpicken.com and get ready for more. I've got more coming. We've got so many amazing experts. So stay tuned. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. So I hope you enjoyed this masterclass. Now, my question for you is, what are you going to do in the next 90 days? I want you to take action that is aligned with your ambitious goal. When I work with clients, I actually show them how to change the neuroplasticity of their brain. And part of the process is really understanding, what goal, what action that I want to take is actually in alignment with my vision and mission and purpose. So you want to make sure that you have that. My other ask is to consider doing the Fearless and Fabulous Female Bundle. That is an upgrade, and it's $97. It runs throughout the summit. The reason why that's important is, number one, it's going to accelerate the rate in which you start attracting your success with some of the strategies that these experts are offering you. Number two, it's actually going to support a cause called She Should Run. As I mentioned earlier, it's about getting 250,000 women running for office by 2030. As women, we are so powerful, and I believe we're really living in an interesting time that we can change the world with our work. So again, I hope you consider the Fearless and Fabulous Bundle, and I want you to take action, okay? I'm going to be checking up on you.